Welcome back to Brighter Rays. We have been looking at Proverbs chapter 3. We started in verse 27, and we're going to go all the way through 35 this week. And so, in our first lesson together, we looked at how we always give what is due. If we owe good, then we ought to be doing good. And as long as it's in our power to do so, we should not withhold things. We should not keep things back. If our neighbor says go, and we don't say, yeah, I'll give it to you tomorrow. Come back tomorrow, and I'll see what happens. No, just give it to him when you have it. So that's what it's saying. You don't have to play games with them. And then we shouldn't. Last time we looked at not planning evil against others. Our plans shouldn't be like that. We shouldn't be planning to destroy our neighbor, destroy others. We don't want to do that. And so now we're moving on, and we see in verse 30 it says, "Do not contend with a man for no reason, when he has done you no harm." Right? If someone has done no harm to you, don't fight with them. Don't contend with them. Don't fight against them. So if your neighbor is next door and he's just doing his own thing over there, and has never done anything wrong with you, don't pick a fight with him. If that dude is over there doing something, and whatever he's doing, minding his own business, don't go up and start fighting with him. Has he done you harm? Then there's no reason to fight. If there's no harm done, no harm, no foul, then, don't fight. Don't be contentious with people. Your job is not to go out there and start fighting with everyone, stirring up the pot all the time. And man, there's so many people, especially in the church, they're just pot stirrers, right? They just want to, it seems like their ministry is the pot stirring ministry. It's like, dude, that is not good. That is not wise. If you start doing that and you get yourself into that habit, just going out there, see people do that online. They'll start throwing stuff out there like, oh, what about this? What about this? It's like, why are you stirring? There's no one's harming you, right? They're not attacking you. They might not have anything to do with you. Why are you attacking them? That's a problem. It's like some people, they go after every controversy in the church and they spend so much time. But, are they contending with you? No. Are they contending with the Lord? Maybe. But they should have their own pastors and teachers. Now, if someone in the church is like, hey, I was watching this video about this guy, and, this is what he said. What do you think about that? Now it's time to contend, right? But if it doesn't concern you, why are you getting involved in that? Because you just want to be contentious, that's all. And so we have to be careful about that because it's easy to do that. In Romans 12:18 it says, "If possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all." Like, as far as it concerns you, as far as it depends on you, live peaceably with people. Your job is not to fight with everyone. As a Christian, as one who exposes evil, yeah, that's what we do. But our job is not to go and fight every single person and all their sin. Like, how tiring that is? How hypocritical that is? What, you spent real time making sure that the log is out of your own eye, right? Before you got that speck. And so, yeah, there are contentions, there are fights that we ought to fight. Agreed. If they do harm to you, then contend for the faith, right? But our job is not to go out and contend with every controversy, every problem that we ever stumble across or search for, right? It used to be so much more simple. You didn't have that as much because, we weren't as connected to the world as we are now. And so we don't have, before you didn't have that much to do, right? To worry about, but now people think like every sin everywhere, it's their job to spend hours and hours and hours contending against it. Like, has someone contended against that? Yes. Why do you think it's your job to go after it too? I don't know. Like, you see a lot of people online, that's what they do now. I mean, there's a place for instruction. There's a place for correction, rebuke, training in righteousness. Yes. But is that my job to go after every person that I've heard is, to join on the bandwagon of bashing people and stuff like that? No. I mean, a lot of people, that's what they do. So has someone spoken out against it? Yeah. Okay, well then point it to them. Why do That's the thing. Just recently, this will date this video, but there's this thing that came out with Alistair Begg, and then all these people are jumping on, just ragging on him. Was he wrong? I think so, yeah. Do I need 40, 50, 60, 100 videos talking about how he's wrong? No. Whoever's closest to him and knows him should be contending against him. And once that video came out, then we should have just passed it around and say, hey, this is the response of what, this is good. But everyone and their brother comes out and starts doing it. It's like, well, what is the motivation behind that? That's where you got to be careful. Because are you fighting with your neighbor because they've done you harm? They're harming you? They're hurting you? Or are you fighting just to fight? Just to stir things up? Just to make yourself look good? Because those would be sinful. So the motivation there has to be considered before you go after that. If you're going to contend, if you make that conscious choice to go up and be contentious, to contend with that, then you better have a right heart before the Lord. Because a wise man doesn't just fight with his neighbors. He tries to live peaceably with all, as far as it concerns him. And so you have to be careful. Because if you're just throwing out barbs and shots at people, why? Are they harming you? No, probably not. You just want to stir up trouble. So don't do that. That is a wise thing to do. Be careful where you're doing that. Because again, you don't want to be coming off as a hypocrite all the time. Now, if it concerns you, like your daughter is, going into this cult or something like that, yeah, then fight against that by all means. Contend. Fight. But, do I have to attack do I have to hunt down every Scientology person and start writing to them and saying, hey, I think you're wrong? And start sending, fighting emails with them? I don't need to do that, right? Because someone else is probably doing it. Now, if no one else is doing it, then okay. You might have an argument there, but I also need to be careful of myself and say, why am I going after all these people that I don't even know? I don't know them. I don't know their thoughts. I don't know what they say. And especially if they're not in the public eye, why am I going after those people? So we need to be careful. That's all I'm saying. Because it's so easy to get sucked into that, right? So we don't want to be contending against people just to contend. Just stirring up fights so we can fight. And then also, Paul talks about in 1 Corinthians the idea about lawsuits among believers. And that's in chapter 6 of 1 Corinthians. And he says, when one of you has a grievance against one another, does he dare go to the law before the unrighteous instead of the saints? Or do you not know that the saints will judge the world? And if the world is to be judged by you, are you incompetent to try trivial cases? Do you not know that we are to judge angels? How much more, then, matters pertaining to this life? So if you have such cases, why do you lay them before those who have no standing in the church? I say this to your shame. Can it be that there is no one among you wise enough to settle a dispute among the brothers? But brother goes to law against brother, and that before unbelievers. To have lawsuits at all with one another is already a defeat for you. Why not rather suffer wrong? Why not rather be defrauded? But you yourselves wrong and defraud, even your own brothers. So you see here the problem is that he's saying don't contend with people. If they have done you no harm, then don't contend. And even if they have, wouldn't it be better to just let that harm go? Right? Take the shot. You can say, hey, I don't think this is right, but you can, okay, I'll take the loss. So you're not supposed to contend, fighting back and forth. Like, yeah, for those kind of cases, like if you see some evil being done, okay, point it out, give them the scripture, and then let the Lord work on them. Your job is not to fight and contend. You contend for the faith, yes, but not against these people. Like, again, the people are not the problem. It's the ideas. So show them that they're wrong. And they say, well, I don't see that. Well, okay. Well, you're blind then. And, that's fine. May the Lord change you. So we got to be careful. If we're going to be wise, then we have to figure out what this means, right? Because you see a lot of people don't do that. Do not contend with a man for no reason. Like, is there a reason for that? If they're doing something stupid and evil, yeah, okay, you might want to contend with them. But if they're not doing anything, then why are you going up against them? Have they harmed you? No. So if you have a reason, if they're harming you, then that's fine. But a lot of people just want to contend. They just want to fight. They want to pick battles that are not, don't make any sense. So be careful what you're doing. And be careful your heart, too, because that has to do with it. Why do you want to contend with this person to begin with? Why do you want to fight? Because you're serving the Lord and these people are defying the Lord your God? Or is it because you just want to fight? You like to fight. That's your personality. Maybe you despise people. Maybe you're hurtful. You're a hurtful person. So we need to judge ourselves lest we be judged by God. And if we judged ourselves first, then we would not have to be judged by God, as Paul says in 1 Corinthians. So we'll end there for today and come back next time. We'll take a look at the next section of our study here in Proverbs chapter